Hi, class! Today we're putting on our detective hats and our superhero capes. We're moving beyond just living in a community to understanding and fixing it. This isn't theoretical. This is how you use research to become active, effective agents of change right here, right now. We're learning the systematic methods of community action. What is community action? It is an alternative research method using the community as the unit of analysis. It involves collaboration with stakeholders to explore and solve local problems. Think of community action as fixing a leak in your own house, but with the whole family helping. It's an alternative to traditional research, which often observes problems from a distance. Here, the community itself is the unit of analysis, which means we study us. We collaborate with stakeholders, that's anyone invested in the outcome, like parents, teachers, local businesses, to actually roll up our sleeves and solve the problems we identify. Key elements of community action. These are the four pillars that make community action successful. Building social capacity, sharing skills and ideas within the community. This is like a group study session. It means sharing knowledge and skills. If one person knows how to write a proposal and another knows how to use social media, they combine those skills to make the whole community smarter. Next, community resilience, helping communities to support themselves. Community resilience, this is the bounce back factor. It's about strengthening the community so it can handle future crises like a typhoon or an economic downturn without constantly needing outside help. You teach a community how to fish, not just give them fish. Third is prevention. Early access to services, design collaboration. For prevention, we don't wait for a huge problem to happen. If we see a section of the road is dangerous, we advocate for a crossing before an accident occurs. It's about early intervention and proactive design. Fourth, wealth creation, assisting with employment, community enterprises. This isn't just about money, it's about building resources, like creating a local market or setting up a shared community garden that employs local residents. Community action versus traditional research. This slide highlights the core difference. Traditional research often observes communities from the outside. It is like a doctor looking at your test results and telling you what's wrong without ever asking how you feel. Community action, on the other hand, involves members in the solution making process. It is like that same doctor asking, what do you think is causing this? What strategies have you already tried? It empowers the people who know the problems best, the community members, to be part of the solution. Systematic methods of community action. These are the three big tools in our community action toolbox. First, partnership, collaboration between communities, researchers, and stakeholders. It's the ultimate group project. It's not just the community, but maybe a local university, the barangay captain, and a nonprofit organization all working together, pooling their resources and expertise. Second, community profiling, gathering information about demographics, history, needs, assets, and more. This is like creating a detailed social media profile for your community. It covers everything from how old people are to where the community was built and what resources they already have. You can't solve a problem until you know exactly who and what you're dealing with. Lastly, needs assessment. Identifying community strengths, weaknesses, and resources. This is the diagnostic phase. We look at the profile and identify what's missing, what's weak, and what's a potential barrier. For example, if the community has a high percentage of elderly people, their needs assessment might focus on accessible transportation. What is community profiling? Creating a detailed understanding of the community's history, assets, and issues. Let's dive deeper into community profiling. Why do we spend so much time gathering this information? Because you can't fix what you don't understand. Imagine you're trying to start a recycling program in your barangay. If your profile shows that most residents don't own cars and rely on public jeepneys, then having a single recycling drop off point far away is going to fail. The profile tells you to set up a multiple small drop offs near jeepney stops instead. It turns assumptions into facts, leading to better solutions. Here are some types of information collected. Demographic data like age, race, income, historical and political context, key leaders and community concerns. Sources of information like public records, interviews, surveys, and local news. What kind of dirt are we digging up? All the relevant kind. Let's say demographic data helps you figure out who lives there. A community of young families has different needs than a community of retirees. If you say historical context, it's very crucial. Maybe a previous attempt to solve the garbage problem failed because of a historical rivalry between two neighborhoods. You need to know what passed to succeed now. The best sources, not just government reports, but interviews and surveys. Talking to the person who has lived on the street for 50 years is often more valuable than a 20-year-old census record. They are the living history book. What is a needs assessment? It is a tool to identify problems and resources in a community. A needs assessment is used to find out what problems and resources exist in a community. It helps us understand what people truly need before we plan any project or program. So here are the steps to conduct a needs assessment. First, define objectives and target audiences. Example, if you want to improve student safety, your audience might be students and school staff. Second, collect data on community issues. Examples are safety, health, education. Use surveys or interviews about health, education, or safety concerns. Third, gather feedback from community members through listening sessions or focus groups. Hold focus group discussions to hear real experiences from residents. So, a needs assessment help us make sure our community projects are based on real needs, not assumptions. Who are key stakeholders? Key stakeholders are the people or groups who are directly affected by a project or community issue. They can be residents, students, teachers, government officials, or even local business owners. Why stakeholder engagement is important? It ensures diverse perspectives are included. It prioritizes subgroups most affected by the issue. It's important to involve them because they bring different opinions and experiences. When we listen to stakeholders, we make sure everyone's voice is heard, especially those most affected by the issue. Example, if your project is about improving school facilities, your stakeholders include students, teachers, parents, and barangay leaders. How to engage stakeholders? We can engage them through interviews, public forums, surveys, and partnerships. The more involved they are, the more successful and accepted your project will be. Example, before building a community garden, students can hold a short meeting with the residents to ask what plants or vegetables they prefer. Identifying community priorities. When working with the community, it's important to find out which problems need attention first. This process is called identifying community priorities. Evaluating community problems. We ask how frequent and severe are the problems, and how many people are affected. This helps us see which issues are most urgent. Example, if flooding happens every week and affects most households, it's a higher priority than a problem that happens only once a year. Next, setting goals. After identifying the key problems, we set goals. We focus on issues that have the biggest impact and can realistically be solved with available resources. Example, instead of aiming to build all houses, a realistic goal might be to create a drainage system or organize a cleanup drive to prevent flooding. In short, identifying priorities means focusing time, energy, and resources on what matters most to the community. Barriers to community action. Even when a community wants change, there are often barriers that make action difficult. Two common ones are resistance to change and limited resources or time. Let's talk first about denial or resistance to change. Some people may not see the problem or are afraid of new ideas. Example, when you propose a community cleanup, some residents might say, "We've always done it this way," or "It's not our problem." Another is limited resources or time. Others want to help but lack money, materials, or time. Example, a group wants to build a waiting shed but can't afford construction materials. But we do have strategies to overcome these barriers. Reframe the issue. That's the first one. To build consensus. Show people how change benefits everyone. Next is to identify and utilize community assets like volunteers and donations, even local skills. Instead of waiting for funds, students and parents can volunteer time and recycled materials to build the shed together. Barriers are normal, but with teamwork, creativity, and community spirit, they can be overcome. How to build community partnerships. Building community partnerships means working together with people and groups who share the same goals for community improvement. Connect with leaders and organizations. Start by reaching out to barangay officials, school heads, NGOs, or youth groups who can support your project. Example, if your project is about tree planting, you can partner with the barangay or the DENR for seedlings and guidance. Next, define clear goals. Make sure everyone understands what you want to achieve. Clear goals avoid confusion and ensure teamwork. Example, agree that your goal is not just planting trees, but maintaining them for 1 year. Strengthen existing partnerships and develop new ones. Keep good relationships with current partners and look for new ones who can help. Here are steps for partnership success. Ensure everyone understands the goals. To make partnerships work, everyone must understand the plan and know how to share resources or referrals smoothly. Say, for example, the school provides the venue, the barangay gives materials, and students do the work. That's shared effort. Create seamless referral and resources sharing protocols. And lastly, strong community partnerships create bigger impact because when everyone works together, real change happens. Steps in conducting needs assessment. First, define objectives. What are the goals of the assessment? Second, assess resources. How much time, money, and staff are available? Third, identify target audiences. Focus on groups most affected by the community issues. Fourth, summarize results. Reflect on data for each objective individually. Fifth, gather feedback. Engage the community in interpreting the results. Sixth, disseminate findings. Share findings with stakeholders to ensure alignment. And lastly, take action. Develop a plan based on the assessment findings. What is participatory action planning? It is a method that blends community knowledge with expert knowledge for strong outcomes, where the community and experts work together to solve problems. It combines local experiences with expert advice, making solutions more effective and realistic. Here are the steps of participatory action planning. First, launch. Establish partnerships, like meet with barangay officials, teachers, and youth leaders to start collaboration. Next, understand. Assess public needs. Conduct surveys or interviews to know what issues the community faces. Explore. Design solutions. Brainstorm ideas like cleanup drives or livelihood programs. Decide. Validate solutions with stakeholders. Present your plan to the community for feedback before finalizing. Act. Implement the solutions. Carry out the project, such as organizing a feeding program or health campaign. Lastly, inaugurate. Celebrate accomplishments. Hold a simple ceremony or post online to recognize the community's teamwork. Participatory action planning reminds us that real progress happens when people plan, act, and succeed together. What is resource mobilization? It is gathering resources like funding, volunteers, materials for community projects. Resource mobilization simply means gathering the things we need, like money, materials, or volunteers, to make community project possible. It's about using what's available and finding extra help to reach our goals. Here are some ways to mobilize resources. Submit proposals to donor agencies. Example, write a short proposal to your barangay or a local NGO to request support for a feeding program. Next, organize fundraising events like hold a school concert, fun run, or garage sale to raise money for a community cause. Next, collect donations, monetary or in kind. Say, for example, ask local stores or residents to donate school supplies or canned goods. Leverage volunteer support. Invite classmates or parents to help with packing relief goods or planting trees. Remember, successful projects don't rely on money. They rely on creativity, teamwork, and resourcefulness. Community action is a tool for change. Community action is one of the most powerful ways to create change. It's when people come together to solve their own issues instead of waiting for others to do it for them. It engages communities in solving their own issues. When residents work together, they develop ownership and pride in their solutions. Say, for example, in a barangay with frequent flooding, locals organize cleanup drives and proper waste disposal campaigns. Builds stronger, more resilient communities. Through cooperation, people learn to rely on one another, which makes the community stronger in times of crisis. Say, for example, during typhoons, neighbors who work together before are quicker to respond and recover. Encourages sustainable development and long term success. Community led actions last longer because they are built on shared effort and commitment. Final thoughts? Systematic methods like profiling, needs assessment, and participatory action planning create a roadmap for successful community engagement. It is like a plan guide towards real and lasting change. In short, community action empowers people to be the change makers of their own environment. All right, that was quite lengthy, but I hope you learned something new. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you on the next one. Bye for now.